waterboarding.
They're talking about wakeboarding. The thing about wakeboarding, every trick is an invert.
Backside,
air railings,
a new dimension.
everybody is going huge.
What do you think about waterboarding? I said, I like it a lot.
I don't think it's tough enough.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Grab Matters podcast. Today we got Dylan Miller on. Very special guest here today. Dylan's a 30-something-year-old pro wakeboarder from Oxbow, Saskatchewan. Did I say that right? Oxbow, Saskatchewan. That's in Canada for those who are geographically challenged there. Dylan, how's it going today?
It's going really good.
Good.
Beautiful Saturday morning here in Claremont, and yeah, I'm stoked to be out here.
Yeah, let's kick it off with an easy question. Are you vegan?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. Why were you vegan?
Just health reasons, mostly. A little bit of health reasons, and then also some kind-hearted towards animals as well. So
Gotcha. So you just kind of back to eating meat now, or like vegetarian, or like?
I eat a little bit of fish and eggs. I just I started doing that probably a couple years ago, and I feel good, and it just opens up the doors at restaurants just because I travel so much for work. It's just nice being able to have a few more options on the menu.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
fish, because like every steakhouse that you go to is going to have some fish or something like that, so it makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah, I definitely feel that there. We'll jump into a guest question right away from a guy named Ricky Sykes. He wants to know, was the 2016 Slingshot solo promo video the best wakeboard ad ever?
100%, yeah. No questions asked. It's really funny because I was just at a Heyday shoot here this last week, and Carol brought that up, and we were watching it with a couple other Heyday employees and stuff, and they had never seen it before, and they're cracking up. So.
Yeah, that's an all-time video for sure. That was when the solo first came out, right? And I was like,
that was the release year for it. I wanted to film like a full part for it. And so, I worked with Taylor Hanley. He filmed the full part. And I think I got some clips with some other filmers as well. But Taylor put the whole thing together, and I told him about the vision, trying to make a super cheesy infomercial. And man, it was super cheesy.
Yeah, it knocked it out of the park. That was perfect.
And Ricky, I found Ricky on Craigslist, actually, I think. I was just looking for announcers, and I just found him on there. And I think I paid him $100. Came over here, knew all the lines perfect. I sent them to him, and he had everything memorized. He was super professional, and just, it was
sick. Yeah, I didn't know if that was someone you hired or just a homie that you're like, all right, I gotta do a wakeboard video here.
Yeah, I found him on Craigslist, and he came over, and we recorded it right here, actually. We just put up a black or a white wall. Yeah. And we recorded the whole video in the house here. And then afterwards we went to a Walmart parking lot with $40, and I just gave $10 bills to people to just read the lines that I'd made up for them. So yeah, it worked out perfect.
Yeah, I was wondering how you got the people in the Walmart parking lots to kind of do that, but $10.
$10. They're just walk up to random people that looked like they had nothing to do with wakeboarding, and that's what I was aiming for.
Oh man, it was sick. Let's kind of jump back to the early days. I know you played a lot of puck growing up. Mm-hmm. When did you start playing hockey?
I think I started playing hockey when I was 4 years old. So yeah, there's not a whole lot to do in the winter in Saskatchewan. So I started. It's 5 and under is the league. It's where everybody starts out, but you can start a little earlier, I guess, if you're good at skating and stuff. So yeah, I started when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I played every winter for 25 years. So I spent a lot of time playing hockey.
So you played until you were probably 27 or 28?
Yeah, even when I started to travel down to Florida and spend more time down here, I would still spend a good chunk of time the first portion of the first half of the winter back in Saskatchewan. So I'd play there's a league in Saskatchewan called the Big Six, and it's just a bunch of small towns in that area, and it's pretty rough hockey. It's pretty serious.
Any Gordie Howe hat tricks?
No, not in that league.
No fighting in that league, probably.
No,
or?
I got in a couple fights when I was younger, but nothing too serious. I wasn't a huge fighter.
So, but that was a what was that? You're an instigator,
unless somebody was pressing my buttons.
Okay.
But I definitely when I got out there playing hockey, if there was a guy on the other team that was had a reputation for being really good or tough and nobody can knock him down, it was definitely my number one goal to put him on the mission, put him on the ice,
put him on his ass.
lay him down.
What position were you?
I played mostly center and forward. I played center and then a bunch of left wing actually later on in my career, but never played defense. I was always offense player.
Okay, for sure. Goal scorer for sure.
Tried to be.
So that was a possible career path for you though. That was something you were kind of thinking about.
Yeah, when I was younger, I got onto a couple of AA teams in the city close by. And I was pretty good, for my age and everything. And then as I got older, there's a couple teams I tried out for that I didn't make it onto. So then I started looking down some other pathways, and I got really into golf actually in high school. I was right when I started wakeboarding, I knew that was something that I was like really, really into and loved it so much. But golf was actually another thing that, like, in high school, I was super stoked on golf, probably from like 10th to 11th or 10th to 12th grade. And it was definitely something I was looking into pursuing, but fell in love with wakeboarding.
Yeah.
So
Went with the high-paying wakeboarding sport instead of hockey and golf.
Exactly. Yeah. Golf is, those guys are just scraping by.
Yeah, right. Trying to make ends meet on the live tour there, getting millions. Is that how you met the McMorris brothers? Was that through hockey or is that through wakeboarding?
That was through wakeboarding. I think I met them. It would have been, I have no idea what year it was. They were both like little kids. It was at Saskatchewan, like provincials, like state championships, whatever you want to call it, in Canada. And they came out to, this is my first recollection of them. They were both like little kids, and they were like the annoying little groms that were at the contest, just asking us a million questions. And we thought we were like the cool 15-year-olds or whatever it was at this contest. And yeah, they just stuck with it. They kept on coming to more and more events. And and then as they got older, I started riding with them a bunch in the summertime. And then my really good friend, Adam Burwell, is kind of how he started to hang out with them a lot because Mark and Craig started progressing really quickly, and he was really into filming. So he started like documenting a bunch of the shit they were doing, snowboarding, wakeboarding, everything throughout the year. And and then as they got older, we started to ride with them a bunch, and I snowboarded with them a little bit in the wintertime too, but mostly just in the summertime. Like, I'd go out to their lake, Echo Lake. It's outside of Regina, Saskatchewan, like the capital city. Okay. Go out there and ride with those guys and Adam, and then and they'd come to my place every once in a while too, like in southern Saskatchewan to ride. But yeah, it's cool. Adam went to film school in Vancouver, and he's been Mark's personal manager for like 10 years or something like that. Huh. So all the stuff, a lot of the stuff, like the films that you see of Mark, like Unbroken and everything, he's actually produced those, and he's one of my best friends. He lived down in Florida with me, actually, just across the lake, for a couple of years. We rented a place, like him, Anthony Hollick, and Ashley Lugner, all lived together at that place. And it's kind of cool. But Adam's still like really involved with Mark. He like travels everywhere with him. And
dang, that's sick. I didn't know that at all.
That's pretty rad.
So they were like what, 2 hours from you, 2.5 hours in Canada there. So you kind of go back and forth riding with each other. Yeah. What boat were you wakeboarding behind? I mean, I guess when you were first getting started, did you have a boat to start, or like did you ride behind friends or whatever? The first boat that I learned to ride behind was like an Edson 14-foot. It was just like a runabout boat that my family had. But then my dad always wanted to get a direct drive, and me being so into wakeboarding definitely probably pushed him into that as well. Like, I was probably bugging him all the time because I saw these videos of guys with like loaded down like Natiques, like with the direct drive engine in the center. I thought that was like the only thing you could wakeboard behind. So I definitely pushed my family probably a little bit to get one of those. And so the first direct drive boat we had was a Ski Brendella, and my mom's name is Brenda, so everybody thought that my dad named the boat after her. It was pretty funny. But yeah, we had that boat for a few years, and then what did they get after that? I think they got, it was like I can't remember what year it was. It would have been like a 2000, maybe like 2002 or 2003 Malibu LSV. So it was a bigger boat with like a bigger engine, and it had like a pretty decent wake on it. So that was, and I started riding a lot more at that time. Is that kind of when, I guess, it kind of turned from, kind of taking wakeboarding a little bit more seriously when you got that LSV? Yeah, I was like taking it seriously like right when I got into it. Were you? I was super into like, I don't know, just all action sports. I just like geeked out on the X Games all the time, and saw those guys doing all that crazy shit at the X Games, like going out in the flats really far. And I started wakeboarding and just really fell in love with it, like right off the start. Okay. And definitely just wanted to keep progressing at it for sure. It was definitely a rocky road off the start, though. I didn't learn like super quick, but I was so stoked on it, I just kept pushing at it. So. Yeah, definitely. I guess, so you're still playing hockey at that time, though. Mm-hmm. I guess in the summer you're wakeboarding, winter you're playing hockey, snowboarding, kind of doing it all. Mm-hmm. It's probably later in your life that you kind of decided to pursue wakeboarding instead of hockey, like full time. So I don't know if we need to get into that right now. But I do kind of want to talk about you when you got hooked up with O'Brien. So when did that happen? O'Brien, that would have been like probably around 2007, I think. Okay. But I actually rode for Liquid Force before that. Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, like if you know who Jeff here is, he's a like OG professional wakeboarder from Canada. His family actually was the distributor for Liquid Force in Canada. And I got hooked up. I got a couple setups from them when I was younger.
and stayed with them. I was with them for a little while, and then O'Brien kind of it was hard to get gear kind of with them at the end of it. So, which I understand, I was just like some little grom that was probably annoying the shit out of them, asking for boards all the time. And so O'Brien like kind of gave me like a better offer just with more gear. I wasn't getting any money or anything like that. So I took that, and I was with them for I think like 4 or 5 years, something like that, before I got involved with Slingshot.
Okay, so we'll jump into that, in a little bit here, but
Yeah.
that 2010 edit, I believe it's just called Wakeboarding 2010 or Wakeboard 2010.
Oh, yeah.
That was all on an O'Brien board, right?
Yeah, it was.
That shit slaps. That was a good edit.
Thanks, man. Adam Burwell, the Mark's manager, he's the one that made that.
Oh, there you go.
He's the one that made that video. Yeah.
Sick. Okay, so a couple of questions on that. Did you get a hard time from anyone for not wearing a vest in like most of, or not all of those shots?
Yeah, for sure. There was like, I remember some forums and stuff that people would send to me on Wake World. And there's just like people talking shit about it for sure. But I grew up watching, like my perspective on that is a lot different now that I'm older. That was like, I don't know how many years ago now. But like I grew up watching, like Parks, like with a mohawk, like bare chest, all these guys.
Randall.
And there's a lot of bare chest riding going on. And that was something that I was like, this is badass. That's what you guys do. Like that's what pros do. You got to like risk a little bit to be impressive and kind of just look badass. And then, but yeah, obviously it's changed a lot in my perspective on it as I get older. I don't like regret it, but I would never ride bare chest now just because I know like after traveling around and like talking to all these families and these kids and stuff, it's like I didn't realize how much influence I have with younger people. So I definitely don't want to push that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Totally. But like no one on O'Brien was like, all right, we're going to stop giving you boards because you're.
No, not like from sponsors. I never got caught any flack, but yeah, like Chad Sharp, I remember that clip of him. He did like a double, I think it was the first grab double flip ever behind the boat. He did like a double toe side back roll Indy, and he was bare chest, and I was just like, that was the most badass thing ever done on a wake. I thought that was the dopest thing ever. So that was probably one of the things. Like that's the reason why I wasn't riding without a vest, or why I was riding without a vest when I was younger, just because of seeing shit like that.
Influenced, that makes sense. So you were rocking a tank top for that. I don't know, what was it, 120, 130 foot concrete slide? Oh, yeah. You think that was the best apparel for that that trick choice on a boat board slide?
It was until I ended up on my face on the concrete. Yeah, man, I ripped my tit open and like my hand, and my hand actually got stuck under my body on that. And it's like, it's really funny. I used to play a bunch of volleyball in high school. And so like whenever I hit the deck like that, I automatically go in volleyball slide mode. It's just like ingrained into my brain for some terrible reason. And I'll like put my hands down and then try and slide and like put my head out. But I put my hand down, got stuck under my body, and so I was just sliding on the concrete on top of my hand. So I had like
full body weight on.
I almost
there.
had like bone exposed on like 2 or 3 spots.
Was the slam after you made it, or was it like, were you trying to clean it up, or did you get the slam and then go back and?
I got a good clip, and then I was gonna like when I went down, I hit a switch and just like natural, just did not lean back far enough switch, and then just went over the nose because I was gonna try and go up the concrete switch. And then when I peaked on the transition, I was going to pop 180 and then go back in.
Oh, there you go.
And yeah, first attempt at that, it went down pretty hard. It was pretty funny, though, that night when I went back to the hotel we were staying in. I ripped myself open, and like I said, whatever, and I got bandaged up and stuff. I don't think I went to the hospital. But I was in the mirror looking afterwards, like at the like my scar, and I saw I had like this hairline scratch on my chin. And I started to like wondering like what happened. And I went back and looked at the footage, and if you watch it closely, my face is like it, I guess my chin actually touched the concrete and it cut my chin, but I didn't actually impact. It was only my skin.
It just slid across a little bit.
Like a little like hairline scratch. So I was like literally a hair away from like smashing my face on the concrete.
Risk reward on that clip maybe needs some reevaluation.
I agree with that for sure.
That was sick though. On the boat board must be tricky with all those molded in fins on the bottom there.
Yeah, there wasn't many molded in fins left by the end of that session for sure. It was
definitely looked pretty beat up.
Grinded on foam.
That I-beam backlip on the forklift, was that your idea to bring that in?
Yeah, that was with Adam as well. And then Craig McMorris was driving the jet ski for that. We Adam had this deal with a Ford dealership back in his hometown in Regina. And he was like a hustler, like he got like a sick deal on this truck, and he was going to film them a commercial, like so they could run it in their shop, like at the dealership. And we had this idea, and one of my friends that I grew up riding with owned a service rig company, which is like in the oil industry, and he had one of those forklifts. So he brought it down for us. We built this contraption, put it out there, and yeah.
Was that first tee, or did it take a little bit to get that?
It took a little bit, actually. That was one of the One of the closest calls I've ever had wakeboarding on that thing, because the river was pretty narrow, and the way that we had to drive the jet ski actually banked in after I left the jump. So I was always landing with a shitload of line slack.
Yeah.
And the last attempt on it, I did back lip, and then I went to pull it back to land like regular, like to right foot forward again, and I didn't have anything to pull on, so I just turned my board sideways. So my board landed in the right direction, but my shoulders were still pivoted, and I threw the rope, and when I threw the rope, it made a perfect loop, and I caught my back edge, and my head went into the loop, and so the rope actually wrapped around my nose, under my ears, all around my head, and the jet ski was still going, and it tightened up around my face, and like popped off, and that it had like that really, like the rubber coated ropes.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't have one of those, man, like I probably would have lost like my nose or my ears or something. It was pretty crazy. I had a cut around my whole head, like a scab, like from my nose all the way around my head, from the rope going around my head. It was nuts.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, I feel like you always hear a lot of stories about it, like wrapping around someone's arm or like something, but your head and neck and face is.
Yeah, man. Like, 2 inches, it would have been around under my chin.
Could have been it.
It could have been
Could have been it for Dylan Mill.
If the jet ski, if the rope didn't break or if something didn't give on the jet ski, it could have been really, really bad.
Damn. I didn't know there was quite the backstory behind that back clip.
It was gnarly, yeah.
Dang. So did you get the clip before that, or did you get back up and go after it?
I got the clip before that. I think I was just trying to clean it up.
Okay.
And, but that was it. After the rope went around the neck, I went to the hospital just to make sure that my brain was still in the right spot. Yeah.
Dang. All right. So was that your first time after that? I know there were some Philippines clips in there. Was that your first time going to the Phillies for that edit? Or have you been there before that?
I guess I'm trying to remember what footy was in there. That was that would have been my
like
first
at the winch
time.
park or whatever. There's like the down flat down there.
Yeah, on the O'Brien stuff, that was my first time there for
Okay.
sure. That was in 2010 because I signed with Slingshot in 11. So yeah, that was my first time there. I went there with Dustin O'Farrell and another Canadian rider named Brad Buskus, and we went there and rode. Actually, we had Elijah Boss too, if you know who he is. He's a photographer from Canada. He shot a bunch of stuff of wakeboarding, like in Alliance, and he's had shots all over. But he came and took photos, and then we shot an article for SBC Wakeboard magazine during that trip. So, yeah, it was a cool trip. That was my first time to the Philippines, my first of many times there.
Sick. Yeah. What was the decision to go there? I mean, it was probably built in 2009 or 2008 for Worlds when they held it.
Yeah,
but
it was. I think it might have been a little bit earlier than that because it had been around for a while. But I just remember seeing all these like iconic images of this crazy setup, and Dustin and I just wanted to go there so bad, like just to go ride. And it was kind of in a transition period at that time because they still had all the boxes. It was like a year or two before they started to put a lot of those like round bars on the bi-level setup. But it was really cool just going over there and check. We actually just like, they hooked us up a little bit because we said we were shooting for SBC, but they didn't know who we were. We're like nobodies. We're just like some Canadian kids coming there to ride. So we just paid our way, rode there, and then it was rad. It's just the most ideal place to wakeboard at a park in the world.
Heaven on earth. Definitely nowadays it's pretty sick. Shit. So I guess I kind of want to ask, like, how has wakeboarding changed in your mind since those days? Because it's like 2010, like mid to late 2000s. Like, how would you say wakeboarding has changed, nowadays?
I think it's a lot more. Well, the rail riding is definitely changed. Like, that's the biggest change. I guess boat riding's changed a lot too. It has changed, but I think it's changed a lot for the better, for sure. The riding, like, it's not like the riding was bad, but there was like a transition period. I know, like, when I was first starting out, and there was all these pros that I looked up to, and then there was like kind of a gray area, I feel like, where a lot of wakeboarders didn't know which way to go. It's just, I think it had to do a lot with had a lot to do with cable riding getting more popular, and it started to like a divide, between boat riders and cable riders. And I definitely never wanted to go down a single lane. Like, I grew up watching snowboard videos and just like loved well-rounded riders like Aero Atala, if I'm saying
Aero Atala, how do you say that?
Like, he was one of my favorite riders growing up, watching him, and like JP Walker and all those guys. And that was just if you wanted to be a pro, in my mind, you had to be able to do it all. Like, you couldn't be just like a one-trick pony, It's weird how it's kind of separated like that. Nothing against the boat riders that don't ride park, but it still surprises me that there's all these guys that are, it's like almost a separate sport, at this point, the guys that do pro tour versus guys that ride cable. And that's why I think riders like Gunther are so important, just because they're doing everything. And it's just so important, I think, to be able to do it all. So it's not so divided.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about that, and I was talking about that with one of my buddies. And it's just interesting that like I feel like you don't have to be a competitive cable rider if you ride boat, but it's kind of surprising that you wouldn't just go ride like once a week or like a few times. Just it's fun, you know. I don't.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. It's interesting how it's so divided, but I still like I enjoy boat riding so much. It's like how I started in the sport, but it's 50-50 for me. I love both of them. I've been riding a lot more boat this summer just because of like with work and everything with Heyday being on this tour. But yeah, like in the off season and stuff, I'll be riding a lot of cable and boat. So I'm just trying to keep it 50-50.
Yeah, definitely. Keep it teed up 50-50. I like it. I do want to talk about your work on, working with the oil rigs or whatever. I don't even know what you call that.
Yeah, oil rigs.
Oil rig work.
Yeah.
I guess there's a name for like what that is, right?
There's two different types of rigs in the oil industry. There's drilling rigs and service rigs. So drilling rigs put the hole in the ground. The service rig puts the pump in the ground that sucks the oil out.
Okay. And which one did you work on, or both?
I was on a drilling rig. I spent a couple nights on a service rig just helping out some friends, like covering some shifts and stuff. But I don't know anything about the service rig side of it. I worked on drilling rigs, though, I do it for between like 3 and 5 months at the beginning of the winter, like fall, winter, for like 5 years. Something like that, I think is what I did.
Could you move the mic a little bit closer? Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
Just make sure it's picking you up. Yeah. There
but yeah, there was like 5 years I did it, so it was
So
good.
you're doing that shit where they whip the chain on it, or?
Yeah, like that's kind of old school, the chain. That's like man, I'm forgetting the name of the actual term for it.
Roughneck?
No, the roughneck's like the position that I work. That's where you start, like bottom of the totem
But like
pole.
actually doing the
spinning chain. That's what it is.
Spinning chain.
Yeah, so that's what they used to use to put like connect the pipe to each other, like the connection at the floor of the drilling rig. So the pipe are in like 9 meter sections, and they would use that chain to spin the connections to like thread them together. But if that shit breaks or spins loose, there's a chain with a serious amount of tension on it just flying around. And if it ever breaks, like because you're contorting a chain around a round pipe, so shit's gonna give at some point in time. So that's like part of the danger and why you get paid really good money to work there, because there's a chance you might get hurt. I definitely saw a couple guys get hurt when I was out there. Yeah.
So is that what you were doing though? Like, I guess maybe they weren't doing the chain stuff, but that was your position.
Yeah. So they've got other tool. They got a pipe spinner now. It's like a hydraulic thing, so it hang from a cable with a spring loaded thing on it, like a spring loaded attachment, so then it can kind of go up and down and bounce. And then both of us, it's a really big, heavy piece of machinery, but both roughnecks would grab it, pull it onto the pipe, and then you lock it on and then spin. It's just like 2 hydraulic handles that you can control. So that thing's a lot safer to use than spinning chain. But we use spinning chain. Sometimes the pipe spinner wouldn't work, so we'd spin chain, and it was fun. But like to do that, to like learn how to do it. And a bunch of the old guys would all be just talking shit. It's like, this is all we knew back in the day. Or blah, blah, blah,
you definitely said you saw some crazy shit happen. So any good stories?
One dude on the rig, he was working up in the derrick. So there's like roughnecks, motor hand, derrick hand, and then the driller and the push. Those are the people that like work on the drilling rig, and then there's like engineers and stuff. But he was the motor hand, so he was one under the derrick hand. He was filling in and trying to learn how to do derrick, like up in the derrick. And he was using heavyweight, which is like that pipe, but it's solid steel. It's really heavy, so it's designed so it pushes the bit into the ground. But anyways, he was like putting that piece in, and the elevators are the thing that closes around the pipe collar to like lift it up and down into the hole. And he had his hand in the wrong spot on the backside of it, and he like smashed his hand. And so he like pounded the meat out of like 3 of his fingers, like just pressure explosion. Like I think he broke the bones in his hand, and he had like pressure cuts on the sides of his fingers just because they squished so bad. So yeah, and like that was probably the worst one that I was on the rig that happened. But there's like guys that there's like all these regulations for good reason now with like lockouts. So if you're working on a piece of machinery, everyone on the rig has like, they put this thing in the lock, or like the ignition key for the engine, like for the motor, and it closes, and then everybody puts a lock in it. So then nobody can start that motor until everyone has taken their lockout. Because like one guy was working on the pump engine and he didn't put a lockout on there. And the other guy, like he was like arms deep in this thing, and it sliced his arm clean off. Jeez. Like it was a massive pump, like with a, like a 2,000 horsepower diesel engine. And and he just had his arm in the wrong, like in there working on this, trying to replace some gaskets. And they started the engine and just sheared his arm off.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's probably gotten a lot better, but still a gnarly job.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
Yeah, there's way more technology with it now and everything. But it was good. Like it was really physical, because I always stayed at, like, you had to work your way up on the totem pole. You had to stay there for a while, and like work your way up. And I never stayed long enough, so I was always a roughneck. which was fine for me because then I never got like pushed into the like, oh, I'm working my way up. Maybe I'll just stick around and do this. So that's one part I don't regret is like staying at that level. And then also it was really physical. So I stayed in really good shape. Like I would like some days it'd be super mellow, but other days it's like a full 8 hours of just physical labor. So some days I'd be like, like it'd be like a good workout. So during the off season, great way to stay in shape.
There you go. All the pro wakeboarders out there just go up on an oil rig.
Yeah.
What's the money look like? I mean, you said it paid well, but
yeah, the money it's cool because you get like a living allowance. Luckily, in where I was at, like the guys that get living allowance, it's usually to cover like travel costs because these rigs are sometimes in like really remote areas. But luckily in Saskatchewan where I'm at, it's pretty close. So we get this living allowance. At the time, it was like $140 a day. I'm sure it's like 200 or something like that now. But that was tax free. So that was just to cover your travel. And also like your gear and stuff that you used to work. But then on top of that, I think I was getting like $26 an hour or something like that, or 27. But I remember I worked some overtime, 1 2-week paycheck. The biggest one I got was like $4,100 for 2 weeks.
Jeez.
So you can stack some cheddar for sure.
Yeah.
But the guys like the pushes, like the rig manager, man, they'll get like rentals and stuff on the rig. So they're getting their salary plus like equipment they've bought that they own on the rig, and the rig is paying them a rental fee every day. We figured it out the one time, like with the one rig manager, like they have no life though. Like if the rig is working, they're working, and they live in a trailer at the drilling rig site. But they're like one of the guys we were working with, we started doing the math on. He's making like $3,500 a day.
Jeez, that's like some big time lawyer money.
It is, yeah. The tricky part is you got nothing to spend it on except for toys. So all these guys that make all this money, there's
Jacked
a good
up trucks and stuff.
they got a huge truck. They got 3 snowmobiles, and they can afford it all. As long as they're smart with their money, you can have some really nice stuff and keep it going.
Dang. Okay. So that was kind of how you made the Orlando thing work. Where did you stay at when you were down here, when you were kind of going back and forth?
The first year that I came to Florida would have been, my first trip to Florida was in 2005, the year I graduated high school with Adam Burwell. And we came down and stayed a week or 2 weeks, I can't remember, at the projects. And that was really cool for me. That was like a year or two after Relentless came out, like one of Liquid Force's like iconic videos. And we show up there, and like 2 days later, the whole Liquid Force squad shows up to film. I think they're filming Encore, and they had this like pool set up out of the projects, and Adam and I were like on cloud 9. The whole LF team just showed up there, and both of us were riding Liquid Force at the time, I think. And that was really cool. Just like getting instantly tossed into the scene. Like we were like probably the annoying little kids for sure, even though we were only probably like 5 or 6 years younger than those guys. But that was really cool. 2005, first year. Second year, after I graduated, I came down and worked at WWC, which is Trevor and Reed Hansen's family's wakeboard camp. It's actually only like 20 minutes away from here. So that was my first year. I got a job like kind of coaching there. And I just coached and got to wakeboard all the time. And then the year following that is when I moved into a lakefront place on Minnehaha here in Claremont with Adam. That's the house I mentioned earlier with Adam, Anthony Hollick, and Ashley Lugner. And then there, Janessa, this another girl from Utah that's a wakeboarder as well, was living with us. We had like a packed house. But we found this smoking deal. It was a lakefront house at the time. The economy wasn't doing that great here. It was a lakefront property, and I think it was only like $1,500 a month for this like 3-bedroom house on the lake with a badass dock and a lift. So Adam, the first year, his family let him bring his boat down. He had like a Malibu, like, what did he have? It was like a 2006 or something like that. So we rode behind that thing, and then the next year following that, I brought my parents let me bring my boat down, so we had a boat to ride behind, and so shout out to the parents for hooking that up.
Yeah, the homie hookup.
But yeah, that was the first year that we really spent down here, and it was cool. We just got, I was so lucky to have 3 other people from Saskatchewan there, because a lot of people
kind of feels like home a little bit when you're down here.
Yeah, well, and just people that are like-minded, that want to pursue wakeboarding, that are serious about it. Like if I didn't have those, like Ashley and Anthony and Adam, I probably wouldn't be in this position, because it would be a lot harder pursuing this by yourself, because we had like a little squad, and then we'd show up at different events and stuff, and then we kind of got to know a lot more people, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, it's definitely would be tough to do, kind of break into the scene on your own without having a squad behind you.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that when you were kind of riding on the pro tour a little bit? I know you kind of mentioned doing that.
Yeah, I did tour. It'd probably be a couple years after that is like my tour highlights, that one top 20 finish that I got. And
there you go. You still got the bib somewhere around here? Or no?
I don't know if I kept any of the bibs. No, yeah, I never did really that great on the tour. It was fun traveling around and going to the stops. Like the one year I was riding at the best that I was behind the boat, and so I'm just like, I'm just gonna do this. And that's at the time I was working on a drilling rig, so just stacked all this money over the winter and then blow it all in wakeboarding. Yeah, like the one year I came down here with I made like 18 G's or something like that. I had saved up. Like I went into hermit crab mode when I was in Saskatchewan. I would like hang out with my friends every once in a while on the weekends, but all I was doing was trying to work and make money.
Don't spend
And
any.
don't spend any, put it in the bank, and then just go blow it all on wakeboarding. That's how I funded the whole, I wasn't getting paid anything at the time when I did every tour stop except for one. I don't know what year it was, but yeah, I traveled all over the place just on my own dime, and went to a bunch of different stops, met a bunch of people, and then didn't do that great. So the next year I was like, I like filming way more. I'm just going to film a bunch of shit.
Yeah. What's like signing up for the tour like back then? Do you just kind of put your name down and pay an entry fee or whatever?
Man, I can't even remember. God, how did I get signed up for those? I think it would have been maybe just online registration or like email registration. I don't know how high tech the email or like the online registration was at that time.
But not like a qualification process or anything?
No, you just pay the money and show up.
There you go. I like it.
It could be your first time wakeboarding. You could go and sign up for the wakeboard tour back then.
That'd be sick. Yeah. So is this kind of around the time you switched to Slingshot? You said, 2011 is when you signed?
Yeah, I switched over to Slingshot in 2011. I can't remember how that all happened. I'm just trying to remember. I spoke to Mike Ennan had just got on Slingshot, and then I had reached out to him because I saw he had like a line of boards with Slingshot, like with the graphics and stuff. And I knew him a little bit just from hanging out at Henshaw's house because Canadians kind of just stick together down here off the start for sure. And so I met Mike, and so I was like, I'm just gonna hit him up. These Slingshot boards look amazing. Like it looks like snowboarding on the water. They flex. These O'Brien boards are breaking like hotcakes right now. So it just was like nothing against O'Brien, but it was just the route that I wanted to take. Like I saw them doing like nose presses and shit and like tail presses on rails, and I knew that's exactly what I wanted to be on. So I hit them up, and I think that there was already some talk about like pursuing me as a rider, which was really cool because at that time every sponsor I got, it's just like knocking on the door, like, hey, you want to give me some stuff, like pursuing sponsors, and that was like the first time where it's like, hey, these people actually know who I am, and they want to hook it up. And so yeah, I talked to him, and then he put me in contact with Wade, who was the team manager at the time, and Jeff shortly after took over the team management role, but Wade was the one that kind of linked it up off the start, and they offered me a travel budget. I think it was like $1,500 or something like that, travel budget
For the year?
Yeah, for the year. And so before that with O'Brien, I wasn't getting anything. And well, Derry and I were both on O'Brien at the same time, and the TM, or like the guy that controlled the distribution in Canada for O'Brien, was telling us, like, he was in contact with the US guys, and he was saying like, hey, I think we're gonna get you guys some budget this year. You guys might like hyping us up to start getting paid wakeboarding. And I was like, okay, let's fucking do this. I really want to make some money wakeboarding. This is what I want to do. I love wakeboarding, want to get paid to do it. And then the economy crashed, and it was just like, that was like 2007, and I still stuck it out with them for a couple more years, obviously, or 2008 or something. And then that whole thing just completely crashed because O'Brien, their largest sales market, like their biggest market was Canada at the time. And so he was using that to hype up the US guys, saying like, hey, we're selling a lot of product. You should hook these guys up. Didn't work out. Slingshot gave me this offer, and then I went back to O'Brien. I was like, hey, they're offering me a travel budget. Can you guys match this? I'll stick with you guys if you match it. And he's like, oh, no, man. He's like, the Slingshot gear, like, and they actually sold Slingshot stuff for like a couple years before that, and they had a bunch of trouble selling it just because like the boards were different. Like the year that I signed up, like 2011, like the whole line got like a really big revamp, and like the graphics were dope. And everything kind of changed. Like Ollie, myself, and Stefan all signed the same year, I think in 2011. But yeah, he was like, the O'Brien guy was trying to talk me off the cliff. He's like, don't do it, man. Like, this stuff doesn't sell. And I saw the gear and I saw the flex, and I was like, this is going to explode. And
it's like, well, nothing's kind of happening with O'Brien.
Exactly.
So
I'm not going to stick around.
If I'm at least going to get a travel budget, that's a step up from where I'm at now.
Exactly. It was a no-brainer for me. And plus the product is like so much better, like more fun to ride. And so, yeah, I was like, all right, peace out, O'Brien. I'm going.
Would you say you made the right call?
Yeah. I'm stoked.
Yeah, that's sick. Let's talk about pushing. So how did you kind of talked about Taylor a little bit, but how did you and Taylor get linked up? as friends or whatever?
Man, I think the first time that Taylor and I met would have been at this, I can't remember the name of the event, but it was an event that Henshaw kind of put together in Kelowna in British Columbia, Canada. Why can't I remember the name? COG, Center of Gravity it was called. And it was a big music festival with a wakeboard demo. And I'm pretty sure that's the first year I met him. He got invited as a wake skater. It's like a pool jam. So there's this beach right on the Okanagan, and Henshaw and his crew would come in there and dig out 2 big pools in the sand, like right beside the water, and then just pump water in there and build a setup in between, like a rail gap. And actually the first year we did it was one pool, and it was winches on a floating dock, and then we got pulled into the lake. It was a pretty complex situation. But I think that's where I met Taylor. And then Taylor got super stoked on just like the whole wake scene and everything. He was a really good wake skater, and he wanted to film some stuff like with wake skating. And then he started spending some time in Florida and came down. And then that's like shortly after, a few years later, he got the job for Alliance being their videographer. He did that for like a full year. He lived with me the whole time he was doing that in this place. And we just became really close. And he was super talented with filming, and I was really motivated to make cool stuff. So but him and I filmed stuff with a bunch of different filmers, but the majority of the stuff was definitely with him. And then he put the whole thing together.
Okay, so is that you kind of had the idea of like filming a video part with a lot of winching, and Taylor was kind of like the guy that you were gonna
like he was around, like he showed up. I can't remember what time of year it would have been, like in the spring. And as soon as he showed up, like I had been scouting, like a lot of the spots from that video are actually in Claremont. Like there's that wall, I think it's from pushing the wall ride on the bridge pillar.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that.
So that's like a quarter, like 2,000 feet away from here.
Okay,
it's like right down this road, pretty much on the lake. It's a lot different now because the water's way higher, but the water was really low at that time, which made it a pretty cool setup. And then there's like that dock, I think the closing clip where I did like that front board on that down rail. That's over here on this other lake. Yep. Yeah. Built that pool. That was an interesting one. We got up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and everybody kind of helped me set it up, and borrowed like a water pump from another wakeboarder from like Tyler Warall's dad down the street. I didn't even really know them at the time, and they gave us that pump to use. Yeah, we were all kind of a little bit on the fence on that one because it's a really public area, and we're like building a pool on this
ripping
dock.
a boat on the other end of it.
Yes, it was nobody said anything. It was just a bunch of positivity, so that's good.
Was that like in the wintertime? It kind of looked like it was pretty.
I think so. Yeah,
okay.
That was in the wintertime. Yeah,
makes sense. And then that wall ride, I feel like the angle going into that was really aggressive, and you were going really fast.
Yeah, there was some reeds and stuff on the side there. And I never even really thought about it. That's kind of how I like to hit stuff. And it's maybe not the smartest way to do it, but even when I bank onto like handrails and stuff, like bi-level setups, I'm like notorious for clipping on front lips. Like, I don't know why. I always clip my tail on them. It's like one of my favorite tricks. It's one of those things where I've done it a million times, and I'll just be like, oh yeah, front lip.
Get
and
a little
then
lazy.
Yeah, get a little
taco.
lazy. And then, and I'll fucking taco the rail. I don't know. I've just like always got those like aggressive lines coming into stuff, so I can like get my tail up and over. There's no tail going over on that wall ride. So Raph actually pointed that out to me. He's like, dude, why did you set it up like that?
Well, if you came up short, you were gonna get just destroyed on those pillars.
Yeah, I was gonna fold around one of them for sure. And I never even really thought about it because it was super comfortable hitting it. Like the first time was obviously like I was shitting myself.
Yeah.
But I like knew it could work, and then I hit it once and it worked, and then after that I was like super comfortable, and I hit that thing probably like I'd say at least like 25 times.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
I hit it a bunch, like trying to get a photo with Garrett, because I think I can't remember if I hit it in 2 sessions. That one would have been maybe just one. I invited Garrett out to take a photo, and he's the one that took the photo. I had like a 2-page, I think, in Alliance at the time of that. That's one of my favorite photos I've ever got taken. That spot was really cool.
Yeah,
sure.
it's a sick angle too.
Thanks.
That ledge by OWC, like the famous one. Is there a name for it?
Oh yeah, that 7-Eleven. It's, I don't know. People just refer to it like 7-Eleven ledge. It's like right off 528. You can see it when you're going to the airport and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one you put the corrugated on?
Yeah.
Did you paint that white? Or did you find a white Corex?
It was Aaron Rathy's corrugated pipe.
Okay.
He had it, and he had a bunch of things that he had used it for in front of his place, and he lived in Claremont at the time too. And I just borrowed that thing. I hit him up, and then it worked out really good. I just used ratchet straps to suck it up against that metal part, because that spot was sick, and I wanted to do just something different there. Because a couple other people had hit it before that. I was like, oh, this would be perfect. Set up this corrugated and then drop down on that thing, and it worked out.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of nothing crazy, just a ledge, but shake it up a little bit with the Corex on there. The renovation. How long did it take you to shape your board into a penis?
I don't know.
It's a pretty bang up job. I mean, the angles are looking good on that.
Thanks. I'm trying to think of how long that took.
Is that to scale or?
Depends who we're talking about here. Me, not so much, but yeah.
How long? I mean, would you just use a Sawzall for that?
We used I think we used we actually used like a track saw. The Germans have got some pretty nice tools over there. So we got the shaft really nice and straight with the track saw, and then we did a little bit of freestyle with a jigsaw for the tip.
How was the renovation though? I mean, I thought those videos were super sick to watch.
Yeah, that was really cool to take part in that for sure. I got to do 2 of them. I think there was one that was at the Bricks, and then the other one was in Turkey.
Yeah,
at Hypnotics. Yeah, that's actually what I got the inspiration for this tattoo. There it is. That's
the saw there.
That's like the renovation logo right there.
Yeah, I didn't see that. That's sick.
Yeah, that event was really cool though. Stefan had a lot to do with the organization of that event, and then the guys at like Danny and them at the Cable magazine made that happen, and it was really cool. Such a like great concept for like an event, you know.
It's super entertaining to kind of see what you can do with the cable with just
bring it back.
Yeah, seriously, someone bring it back. That would be sick.
Yeah.
Were you in the boat for when Dorsey slammed in the back of that kicker, like after the banana rail?
I was not in the boat, but I was staying in the dock, which wasn't too far away from the boat, so definitely got a great view of it.
Yeah, it looked like a hell of a slam.
Man, I forgot about that. That was that was crazy because Nick just took the wrong line into it because he was a rush because we're trying to film lines at that time, so he's trying to get the best line, and I think he had like a little bit of a like not sketchy landing, but didn't land exactly how he wanted to on the hit before that. So the way that one, there was like banana, like 2 rails into that kicker, and if you edged late, you get put on the whip, like whipping out to the side on the edge of the cable because it was a little bit far away. But if you edged early before the corner, and you like edged in, it'd put you in a straight line to go like straight at it. But he just got himself in a sticky situation of edging. But he was fine though. Nick is one of the most resilient wakeboarders of all time. He would the slams he would take, he was so driven to like. It was really fun. Nick was one of my favorite people to ride with for sure. I haven't seen him forever. It's been like probably 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him for a while. He's got a daughter now, and I think his daughter's name is Lila. Can't remember if he listens to this. Maybe.
Hopefully Nick's listening. Whatever you're up to, Nick.
But yeah, he was rad. He went hard for sure. He took some crazy slams.
Yeah, I think what he said after, he's like, "Man, that really hurt my head." Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. Slamming into a flat wall going, because he was on the whip. He was probably going at least 20 miles per hour. Like,
oh man,
yeah, that was a serious slam.
At least he had a helmet on. He was good.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess let's talk about Wakes Each. How did that get started?
That got started through the McMorris brothers. I haven't really talked about this before because I don't know if they wanted to bring it up, but whatever though. I don't think they care. But they kind of started off as a website. Yeah. And they showed Dustin and I remember them like pulling up their laptop, and like Adam got the whole URL and like the
domain
website and domain and everything set up. And but I don't know if it was Adam's idea or theirs off the start, but they were like getting really into snowboarding at the time, and they were just like, man, why are wakeboarders like, why are they grabbing Nellen and like Tindy all the time? This is super weird. And then they're like wanted to make like a joke page out of it. And it was pretty funny. Like they were making some funny shit. And then Dustin and I think was in Saskatchewan, like visiting, or maybe we were in BC or something like that. And they were out there too. But then they started talking about like us making some posts on there on the website as well. And so I was like all about it. I was like, this is a good idea. Like this is kind of funny, and it'll help, like hopefully in the future it'll help clean up wakeboarding a little bit too. But if people know who we are, it's like it's not going to help us, and it's not going to help Wakes Each, because at the time we're just nobodies, right? Like nobody knows who we are, and if it's like some random kids talking shit, then they're always gonna be like, oh, like screw this dude, you know. But yeah, we started helping them put posts, and I got like super stoked on it, and I started like banking posts, you know, like I'd have like one ready. I have like at one time I'm sure I had like 15 of them, just ready to click the button and send them. And then
there was a lot of content back then.
Yeah, it was easy to find stuff for sure, and I was guilty of it too before that. Like it was only the year or two before that where I was like, man, like snowboarders are tightening their shit up quite a bit. Like there's definitely a way to and not to do things, and I really appreciated that. Like instead of just, I don't know, that's kind of what makes a pro, is doing things correctly, like the way that they're supposed to do it with your own twist on it. And yeah, we just kept on making stuff. And then at the time Instagram got released, or it got like invented, or whatever you want to call. call it. And I was like, well, this is exactly where Wakesich is going to live. It's perfect. All it is photos and captions. And I was like, screw the website. And then I started just running stuff on Instagram. And after that, like, yeah, it got really big, like in the small community of wakeboarding. Like everybody was talking about it, and they're all on this like mission to figure out who it was. It's kind of interesting for me, like just being involved in a lot of conversations and knowing exactly what was going on, but just like keeping my mouth shut. And like definitely heard some really interesting conversations, like where people were trying to get to the bottom of it, and they like were sure that they knew who it was, but obviously they didn't. And yeah, just being involved in those conversations, it was pretty funny. It was like kind of weird, like sneaking around, kind of felt like shysty, but at the same time, like when it got released, I think it was a good time, because at that time I had kind of made a name for myself, and most of the people like in the tight knit wakeboard community knew who I was. So at that point, I think it was okay, but it's still like there's definitely some hate for sure. Like people weren't stoked on it, like took it pretty personal. I understand. It's just like, but it was just comedy, you know. Like you know all about this.
What were some names that were being thrown around, like when you were kind of in the room?
Well, there was, I can't remember like what names were getting tossed around. Like one of the funniest situations was like Keith Lidberg and Henshaw. Like Keith had some guy, like, cause at the time he's doing like Control wakeboards, and he got like his tech guy that was making Control's website to try and figure out who it was. And he's like, dude, I got to figure it out. It's like, it's this dude, it's these random kids in Texas. And I'm just like, oh, I was like, dang. He's like, yeah, dude, we're going to fly there like next week and film a bunch of stuff with these kids, and we're just going to destroy them on the internet. It's going to be amazing. And I was like, oh, poor kids. I was like, you know, they never ended up doing it. Oh man, I was like biting my tongue so bad though. That was only probably like a month before it actually got released, or like a couple months before like the cat was out of the bag. But man, that shit was funny though.
How did the cat get out of the proverbial bag there?
It got out because when Adam bought the domain for wakesich.com, I think he might have bought a domain that was spelt similar as well, just in case, or unless he made a mistake. I can't remember, but his name was on another domain that was close to that one, because he scrambled like he did a block on the actual wakesich.com. But yeah, then there was, I think that's how it actually got out. Yeah, that's how it got out that it was him. So everybody just assumed it was Adam. And at that time, he kind of like, he knew everybody in the wakeboard industry too, because he was spending quite a bit of time down here. And so he was kind of catching some heat, because like he maybe wasn't as well known as like a rider as like maybe I was at the time, but he was like really well known in the industry. He like did a bunch of filming, like he was helping Sean Kilgus filming some projects and stuff like that. And so for him, he was kind of like a little bit crushed by it, you know, because like he didn't deserve the heat from it, because it was like me and them doing the posts. And then shortly after that, I logged in to the Wakesich account on Instagram, and then it popped up like back in the day, like on Instagram's like on their feed, like in what is now a popular page, was just like things that were happening on Instagram. And then all of a sudden I got like 5 DMs on Instagram, and people were just like screenshotting Dylan Miller has signed in as Wakesich. And so then it just got flooded to me, and then it was just like out of the bag, and I was like, there we go.
That's probably good though. Kind of.
Yeah. I mean, like
heat off.
I was definitely scared off the start, you know, like, cause I've been hiding kind of behind that alias for a while. And then I was curious. And then for the most part, everybody was kind of stoked, I guess. Like, I didn't get like a whole lot of hate about it. I'm sure there's people that hate me still for it, but like all the people that I was like looked up to and everything were like cool with it. So
yeah,
it was just comedy. But there's some stuff that I posted on there in the past where I like look back and I was like, oh, that was a little far, a little below the belt. Yeah. You know? Yep. So it's there's some things yeah, exactly.
So there was no like confrontations either before or after, like in the DMs, or like after it was you that.
Not really. Like it was, well, when Adam, there was one really funny situation where Patrick Wheeland had posted like a photo of I won't say the rider, but he posted a photo of a rider like filming. This is when he was a filmer for Alliance, and he posted a photo of a rider that was doing like a newt grab, and this was like right off the bat when Instagram, like when the Wakesich Instagram started, and I think it would have had like, I don't know, maybe like a couple hundred followers or maybe even less, I don't know. And we posted this photo on there and said like the caption was like nice nude to start off your morning or something like that, and this was at the time where people knew it was Adam. And so he hit me up instantly. He's like, dude, you got to get those guys to take that shit down, man. And like, I was like, dude, there's like 100 followers.
Nobody gives a shit.
It's going to be okay. But yeah, he was like super pissed off about that. That was like one of the times, but I knew Patrick at the time. So it was like, we've worked together a lot, because I think he was the filming for Alliance at the time. I don't think he was the staff videographer for Slingshot yet. But yeah,
he
was,
did Lip Smack, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, he was a little butthurt about it. But since we were friends at the time, it was all good.
Yeah, and I feel like when people found out it was like you, it's probably like, okay, well, I know this guy. He's not a piece of shit. So it's like, okay, maybe this really is just kind of funny, and like we can all laugh about it.
Yeah. No, I think it served its purpose though, for sure. It's kind of cool. Like looking back at it, like how rail riding was. I'm not gonna say sloppy, but it was kind of in a transition period, and I was definitely all over that too. Like looking back at videos of me, like I was zeeching my face off for a few years, and just seeing like which direction I think that snowboarding was going, and just doing things properly. I want to do the same thing for wakeboarding, and I think it worked out really good. Like it changed rail riding, I think, a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
So it was pretty cool to see that transition, and yeah, I think it was a good thing for wakeboarding. Now it's definitely got there's way more things that are I won't say acceptable, but just rail riding is progressed a lot, and there's some cool things going on that maybe aren't teed up, like just different types of tricks, or like swivel stuff or whatever you want to call it, but it's cool, and there's no need to make fun of zeeching anymore. I think it's his job.
I think we're pretty locked in now. I mean, if you're not, you're fucking blowing it. But yeah, I think so. That was kind of the purpose, was like to clean up wakeboarding, and I think, or rail riding specifically, maybe some grabs here and there too, but
for sure.
Sick. So, I kind of want to talk about what it means to be a pro wakeboarder.
All right.
So what would you define, a pro wakeboarder as?
This took a long time for me to figure out, for sure. I was like 30 years old when I first got a pro model with Slingshot, so I was definitely like further down my career than, or maybe my career hadn't really kicked off yet until obviously I was making some money wakeboarding before I got a pro model and everything, but I don't know. I've just learned so much from spending time around people. I think the biggest thing for like people that are looking to become a professional rider is just to try and spend time around other pros. Like it's hard to get inside the circle, but just to see how they act. And like Jeff McKee is a great example. Like having Jeff as a team manager with Slingshot, and he's a few years older than I am, and he's still so involved like with Slingshot and the teak. He's got roles outside of riding and everything, but just getting involved with like somebody that's experienced and knows their way around the sport, I think that's really important. But I don't know, I'm trying to think of a way to. The biggest thing, like for brands, if you want to make money, is obviously to be an asset to them, like something that helps them sell the product. Like there's so many wakeboarders, I feel like, and I was one of these people as well when I was younger. They go out there and the only thing I'm focused on is me filming parts, making me look amazing, But I think there's so much more to it. Obviously your riding is so important, but just being personable and like especially with boat companies, I've learned so much with Heyday and everything, is just going and talking to people and just like being like a personable being personable with customers, and just helping them sell a product. And being influential is definitely also really important too, because you can be a really good rider. And I'm not saying I'm like this. I'm not trying to like brag about my influence or anything, but I think that's really important. Is like, I know that's what McKee looks like for, and that's one thing I picked up from him is this person like a really good rider, or are they gonna like influence people and change the way that they think about things and make them want to be like are a kid's gonna want to be this person? Like that's a lot of what he looks into when he's getting riders involved, because like signing a rider onto the team, it's like once they're on, like they're probably not going to go away for a while, like when you like make the commitment, it's like that little kid, like when I was at Grom or whatever, and like got that first free board, it's like this light switch goes off and it's like, man, I'm never paying for a wakeboard again. Like, that first free board.
Fucking made it.
Yeah. So when you get a person on the team, like I think there's obviously when they're super young, you don't know what's going to happen and where they're going to go. But as they get older and you want to sign them on with like a pro model and like some signature products and stuff, yeah, you got to make sure that they're like cool, influential, and they're actually are more than just a wakeboarder. They can like talk about things and like have a good conversation with people, go out and party with a bunch of people, have a good time. Partying is a huge part of it as well, like in the boating industry, not like crazy, but just like socializing, going out for dinner with people, those type of things.
Yeah. So would you say that it's, maybe not so much about being super, super talented on your board, but it's definitely relies heavily on all the other stuff, that like the behind the scenes stuff per se.
Exactly. Just being a professional, I guess, on and off the water.
There you go. Being a pro on and off the water.
That's what it takes.
That's what it takes, kids. Let's talk about getting that pro model with Sling. How does that conversation start?
With me asking. class. I don't know. I was really motivated to obviously just keep progressing with Slingshot, and it took a little while, which is completely normal, I think. But like from the time that I started pursuing it, maybe Jeff had it on his mind at the time, like doing a board. Off the start, I was trying to get the Reflex, which is now the Coalition, and I was trying to like because I was riding that board at the time, and I was trying to kind of turn that into my signature model. And at the time, Ben Leclerc was riding that board too, so both of us were kind of like, it was like friendly competition. And I know Jeff like hit me up and was asking me about graphic input for this board. And so at the time, I'm just like, oh, dang, it's my signature model. I get to get input on the graphic. Not the case. He was just asking for like some input on the graphic. And I think he did the same thing with Ben, like asking us for both of us to give input on the board. And so Ben and I were both just like thinking it's going to be our signature board. So there's like this weird time. It's not like we were like working against each other, but both of us were kind of like confused, I guess, of like what was going to happen with the Reflex. And then like if I think it was like a year or 2 years after that, I think McKee, I figured you're going to ask this question, so I was thinking about it yesterday. But we were at the Philippines at Republic, and Jeff, like, we're just sitting there after lunch, just had like lunch after we filmed in the morning. And then he's like, hey, I think we're going to start working on a pro model with you. Do you got any ideas? And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, where the hell did this come from? And I remember just being like on cloud 9 that he just said that to me. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is actually happening, I think. And yeah, and then it took a little while. Like, I don't think it released that spring, but the year after, obviously, because it takes like a full year to graphics and all that kind of stuff to be finished up. But yeah, it was really cool. That was in, I don't even know what year it was. There it is. It doesn't have the year on it, but I can't remember.
Well, when did that video came out? What was that? 2015?
Yeah, I think it would have been 2016 or 17 that the board came out.
Okay, so you're probably talking about it 2015.
Yeah, 2015 is when it came out, and then I got like the first proto of it, which was actually a different graphic than what's on this board. It was the same graphic, but we had like a dude in a hoodie instead of the normal whale. I've actually got that one up in the attic still. It's like the first solo ever made with a graphic on it, and it was just like this dude in a hoodie, like tossing up like some hand signal that Wes and I came up with, because that was like one of the. I'm trying to remember if that. I don't want to claim it, but I'm not sure. That actually could be the first graphic that Wes did for Slingshot.
Really?
He drew up this crazy graphic for I don't know. Did he do any of the Shredtown graphics before that? I don't think he did. But he drew up this one. It was like this this skeleton like in the desert, like tip to tail graphic that Jeff was going to use on the Response the year before, and that would have been the first ever like full character, you know. And I can't remember what happened, but it didn't fall through. But then he did this one. But the guys in the office were a little sketched out about the guy in the hoodie and like what maybe looked like a gang sign or something. So I understand. So we ended up just changing it to like the friendly old narwhal whale.
Yeah, it's sick. I like it. Was there ever a thought of doing 2 boards, boat and cable, or was it like I'm gonna have a crossover board?
I just wanted to have one board. Yeah, I just wanted to have like an ATV for sure. And yeah, man, the first proto, like that one that I've got up in the attic, I rode that thing, and that at that time I was riding the Reflex on cable, and then I was actually riding the Whip, which is Stefan's pro model, on the boat. And that thing was like, at the time it had fin holes, and I love that board behind the boat. So I was riding that for like 2 years. But when I hopped on this thing, everybody says this shit, but I hopped on that board, and I liked it even more behind the boat. And I thought it was like, it edged really well. It was just like a different feel because it was narrower than the other Slingshot boards. And I tried it, and I rode really good the first few sessions I rode it, and fell in love with the shape. And we didn't actually change anything. The first prototype that I got, like, I just rolled with.
That was it.
Yeah, like I know Ollie, when he got his pro model, he burned through like 6-7 protos, and just trying to get it like dialed, you know. But man, like the first time I rode it, I loved it, so I didn't change anything. That's the best part about Slingshot, in my opinion. Like, I hear all these things about other brands, about guys working on boards, like in JB's podcast, so that's not the other day, and like you talk about the name of the board, and he's just like, oh yeah, I didn't come up with that. And that's one thing I really appreciate Slingshot. Like, every pro model board you see on the Slingshot lineup, the graphic was the rider's idea. Or they reached out to an artist, and the artist gave them an idea. It's all in our control, which is really cool. Obviously, Slingshot's going to give us the axe if they don't like it, if they think it's trash, or if they think it's too controversial. I definitely push that button a little bit on the controversy. So I really like graphics that make you think about stuff like the crab board over there with like the iPhones taking over the two like influencers, if you will, I
Yeah.
guess. I just love that stuff. Like when people look at it and just kind of makes you think a little bit. And actually that graphic, the dinosaur board there, originally that was Jesus and not
It was Jesus was the dinosaur.
no, Jesus was
On top?
was riding the dinosaur. And then that one, I was trying to
That was
push
a little
that
too far.
They thought that was a little too far. Understandable. I was just really trying to get the Jesus on there, but it didn't go that direction. Turned out great though, either way. So
Yeah, they're all sick. Is there anything, has anything changed like significantly in terms of the solo from its inception to now, or just kind of little tweaks here and or anything?
the base of the board has remained the exact same since the start. The top has changed a little bit. I really liked the first year, that 2016, the red one with the narwhal on it, that one's actually got concave. You can see those channels on the top side of it. So that board actually kind of like a skateboard. It's got a little bit of concave, and I put that on there. So then when you put the bolts on, you lock it down. It like sucks the binding onto the board. So then it like the slingshot bindings are, like don't have any heel and toe lift, but that like really locks it on, So then it's just, I don't know, it just the binding fit better on the board. But they removed that after the first year. It was just a production cost thing, and they were able to stiffen up the belly without those channels on the top. And so that's the only thing that's changed on the board. Other than that, I designed I got to design like the whole outline of the board and the shape and everything, which is really cool. And then Slingshot had the idea with the flex tips, and they're like, oh, we want to do these flex tips on the board next year, and we want to release it on your board. I think it's going to be a good board to have them. And I was like, hell yeah. Like they showed me like the concept of it, and we wrote a couple of protos of what board was it? The Reflex? No, it wasn't the Reflex. The Recoil. The Recoil had, how it's kind of like rounded when it transitions into the flex tips. The Recoil just had straight transitions, and so it just went from like thick to really thin. And those tips, man, they were like probably half as thick as the flex tips on this one. So those things you lean back and it would just stand up. And so that's how we kind of tested them on that recoil shape, and then it changed over to the Solo, which I was really excited about. That was like one of my favorite features, and they told me they wanted to release it on my board. I was like, let's do this. And the next year it came out on like Windsor's board and a couple other ones, and now it's just like a standard Slingshot feature, and they're rad for sure.
Yeah, I feel like it's on probably more than half the boards in the lineup now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because Carol's board, the contrast is the same shape as mine. That one's got the flex tips. Windsor's board's got the flex tips.
Volt's got the flex tips.
Volt, the native. Yeah, there's
quite a
bunch
few, definitely.
Yeah.
Good technology there, Sling.
Yep.
The flex tips getting them way back. Let's unless there's anything else you want to touch on with the solos. I mean, obviously we got the 23 board coming out. Nothing crazy there. Me and you were kind of talking about that graphic, kind of throwing it back to what it looks like the 2016 terrain, but there's kind of a cool story behind the graphic. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that graphic, it's funny because it does look a lot like that terrain, and I didn't even know that until somebody pointed it out to me like a month ago when they saw it. And but yeah, that image is actually from my hometown in Saskatchewan. It's a grain silo, and it's just like where where the train stops when it's passing through towns and picking up and delivering grain. So it's like a huge farming community where I'm from, and it's just like a grain elevator. It's like right down the street from my house. So it's kind of cool just to turn that into a kind of a modern image. And
yeah, it's sick. Do you visit quite often or no?
Yeah, like I go back like probably 1 or 2 times a year. My family's actually like my whole family, my mom, dad, my sister, her husband, their 3 sons, and my grandma were just here like 2 weeks ago. So they spent like they came down here for a vacation. That was the first time that like my nephews had been down here for a couple of years. So that was really cool, spending time with them. We just chilled. We went on the boat a couple of times, did some amusement parks, and
At Disney World.
Yeah, hit Disney World for sure. And yeah, Katie and my girlfriend, might go up to back up to Saskatchewan like later this fall, try and spend some time up there. I definitely like getting up there at least once every summer for sure.
Yeah, super nice in the summer.
Yeah,
probably similar to where I'm at. But let's talk about Heyday. So how did you get started with Heyday, and how'd that relationship kind of form?
Heyday would have been, I think that was 6 or 7 years ago. Shortly after their conception, I guess.
The Wake Tractor?
Yeah, so it was Wake Tractor beforehand, and that was started by John and Ben Dorton, who were working with Mastercraft at the time. And then John left. He was the CEO of Mastercraft for many years, left, and then him and his son Ben started Heyday. And they ran it for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years, maybe less, I'm not sure. And then they ended up selling it to the Brunswick Corporation. and Brunswick rebranded it as Heyday. And but yeah, it was like, I think the first year that they were actually as a brand, Heyday, I was at Surf Expo, and Jason Hammonds, who was one of the reps for Slingshot at the time, was talking to Ben, and I just went to the bathroom and like was walking back to the sandbox booth, I think. And then Jason was like, "Hey, Dylan, come here. I'll introduce you to Ben. He's like the brand manager for Heyday." And I saw the boats, and I didn't even clue in that it was Wake Tractor. Like, I knew what Wake Tractor was, but I didn't know that it was the same brand, just rebranded or whatever with a new name. And they were right across from the sandbox booth, so I was kind of eyeing them up, and I was like, "Yeah, those are interesting looking boats." I don't have a boat sponsor at the time. I wasn't like thinking about pursuing it, but when I walked back, he introduced me to Ben. And Ben's like, "Hey, we're looking for a rider to come out," and he knew who I was, and looking for a rider to come out to the photo shoot. And then he invited me to come out. I think it was like a month later, like just the beginning of October, because Surf Expo was like the first half of September. Went out there, tried the boat out, and obviously it was kind of like at its beginning stages, but I could tell that the guts were there, you know, like, and I knew that like with Brunswick owning it, it wasn't going to be just like a joke, you know, like they're going to push hard to make it like a successful brand. And so for me, it was a no-brainer. Like, I wanted to get involved with the boat company for sure. Like, I'd kind of pursued Axis a few years before. They didn't seem interested, or made it sound like they were interested, but nothing ever happened, so they weren't interested. And so yeah, and then I went and rode it behind the boat, and I was just like, "Damn, this is sick. This is awesome." Like, I'm definitely aligning on a price point wakeboard boat. I'm not gonna say price point, but like an affordable wakeboard boat. This is exactly what we need. This is what Axis was supposed to be, but is now not. You know, like, they're great boats, but they're just so expensive, you know. And so, and it just, Heyday had the right idea, and it was something that I really believed in, and so it just made sense. And I knew that they were gonna keep on progressing and making more models, and it's pretty crazy. Like, when I started, there were side console boats without a windshield, and they were cool. Like, I really liked that boat, like the original WT2. With like kind of like deck boat style in the interior. It was sick, especially for Florida, like in the warm climate. It was, you know, you're driving the boat and you can have like 3 or 4 people just sitting on the bench beside you watching the wakeboarding. So it was kind of cool, and it had different compartments for weight, like extra weight and all that type of thing. But now it's like evolved into the, you know, like the H22 that you saw, and they're like, it's crazy, you know, like they put so much time and effort into that, like Keisha and Mark and like the whole crew, like Corey, who's not there anymore, and like Keith, all those people put so much work into making this. And Keisha, who's actually at the head of the brand now, she's kind of like the one that's like worked on kind of developing the H22 with engineers and stuff. And it's been great working with them, man. Like, I actually got to take the engineers out on my boat, show them how I use it, and like the designers. I've been to the design facility a few times, and I got to be pretty involved with the design of the H22. So it's cool. It's rad. Like, it's the boat that my family probably would have had when I was younger, you know, because my dad always bought like used boats. It's not like we were balling out of control. Like, they're definitely like working hard to make the money, or to save the money to buy like a boat. So I had something to ride behind, and I just really appreciate what they're doing. Just trying to make, even though they're still really expensive boats, it's just, there's so much less than, you know, and it's got everything you need. So definitely really stoked. It's I feel very thankful to be a part of that brand for sure.
Yeah, so are you pretty involved with like the design process and like giving feedback? Like, are you kind of writing and like always taking notes about like, hey, you know, this is maybe something we could look at changing?
It's cool. Like, just things that I use, like how I use the boat. Yeah, I definitely give feedback to them on like little things that could be different. And like, there's a lot of things in H22 that were kind of like my idea, or something that we snowballed on that we talked about. So it's really cool to see all those features, and that makes it really easy for me to talk to customers too. And they say they like a feature in the boat, it's like, oh yeah, that was kind of like something that it was my idea, or like I worked on. But yeah, it's really cool to be involved. It's kind of cool. Like, it's really cool for me to be involved in the design of a boat and then use it. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that's sick. So this summer, you and I guess the whole team, but you guys are bouncing around, did like a Heyday tour. Kind of walk me through that and what that was.
Well, we did an event like with one of the reps, Mike, a few years ago, and it went really well. I think they sold a couple of boats. I just went on the boat and like I rode behind it a little bit and let the other people ride. And ever since then, like, they sold like 2 or 3 boats in that one event. And so I was like, man, like, we got to do this like more often, like do these events, go around. It gets people stoked, because towboats, like, it's really rare that somebody's going to walk up to a boat show and just be like, especially if it's a brand that they're not really familiar with, to just like write the check, you know, because it's such a performance thing. But if people get behind the boat and they see the surf wave is amazing, the wakeboard wake is amazing, it's so much easier for them to just like pull the trigger and buy the boat. So yeah, but we did that, and then So it's kind of funny. I bought that cargo van, and then my girlfriend and I were gonna like build it out as like just like an RV because we just wanted to travel and do like fun stuff like on downtime. And so yeah, we got that van, and kind of my plan was after I bought it, I was gonna talk to Heyday about taking the van and doing like kind of like a tour like that, and just traveling around and taking people out on the boat. And they reached out to me shortly after I bought the van, before I even got a chance to, because they kind of already were thinking the same thing as me, I think. And so, yeah, it just worked out. We were both aligned on that. And, yeah, we built it out in like a short period of time. It was like 3 months. It was like an empty cargo van. And then like 3 months later, it was a full little house in there. And yeah, we traveled around last year we drove like over 8,000 miles in 2 months. Myself, Katie, and our 2 dogs. And then this year we did the same thing. It was a little bit shorter of a route this year that we drove, but yeah, just took a bunch of people on the boat, and it's really cool. Just teaching people to wakeboard and surf and everything, and it gets everybody really stoked. And it's like just an event for Heyday customers or people that want to buy a boat, but then also people don't really realize that it's just an open event for people to come learn too. If they want to if they don't have the chance to wakeboard or surf, if they don't have a boat, they can just come out and shed with us.
So how's that work? Are you working with Heyday to kind of like make these stops at certain lakes, and like they're kind of doing a little bit of promotion to get people there? Or? Yeah,
they run the promotion side of things and kind of lean on the dealership to do some of that as well. And then I just kind of I just show up and run the whole demo. So I get there in the morning, and the people will show up. They'll have like a 1 hour or 2 hour time slots. And yeah, they just come there, show up, and then I'll just take them out on the boat. And I don't usually ride, like I'll wake surf a little bit or something like that. But for the most part, it's fairly busy on the weekends on the water, so the water conditions aren't that great for wakeboarding. So I'll just like let other people spend as much time behind the boat as they want, so I'm not burning up all their time.
Yeah.
But unless they really want me to go out and do some sick carves on the wake surfboard, I don't really go out too often.
Yeah, how about you power rank these 5 water sports? Wakeboarding, wake foiling, aqua jogging, underwater basket weaving, and wake surfing. 1 to 5 power rank.
Man, I haven't even heard a couple of those. Underwater basket weaving?
Yep.
Sounds
very competitive.
Sounds very dangerous.
It could be.
Wakeboarding number 1 for sure.
There you go.
Foiling number 2.
Loyal. Very loyal.
Very loyal. Wake surfing number 3. What was the other one?
Underwater basket weaving and aqua jogging.
Aqua jogging. So that's underwater holding a weight, running?
I believe so.
I'm going to put that one ahead of the basket weaving.
I would agree with that as well. That's a decent analysis. Gunther had a little bit different of an answer, but
was his foiling on top?
Foil was 2, I believe.
Same as me. Is that what I said? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you had the same one too, but Gunther had different opinions on the surfing. Did you ever think you'd be teammates with Mike Dowdy?
No. No, I didn't. I never really thought that would. It just never came to fruition or whatever. Or like in my head, it didn't. But I was actually the main person that made that happen. I was like
Dowdy on Heyday.
Yeah, I got him on. Huh. So I'm like doing team manager for them as well. So I was just trying. Like Dowdy was without a boat sponsor at the time, and he's just got like such an interesting personality. You know, obviously like all the banter and everything, and like his shit talking online. And I'd hung out with him a few times, like not a whole lot, but just seeing him at events, and I always like had fun shooting the shit with him and stuff. And just saw him talk to people at events, like at Surf Expo and everything, just kind of the way he presented himself. And that was like a big thing for me because you just got like some wakeboard nerd that like comes to these events to talk to people and is like super like clams up and is not good at, like he's obviously not lacking confidence, right? So when we go to events and stuff, he's great with talking to people. Yeah. Amazing wakeboarder, and I've always really respected his riding. Like one of the things that I respect most is like that first year. Not talking shit about any of the other riders, but like that first X Games, like when they had
smoke bombs and shit.
Yeah, you know, like it was really weird for me. That was me watching those parts. Like I remember at the time just being so
disappointed.
So disappointed and let down. You know, like grew up watching all these videos of. They were just so riding focused with some badass lifestyle stuff, just showing who the person was and like kind of what they're into off the water to a certain extent, you know what I mean? And I really appreciated all those skate videos and all those videos from the past. And then these real wake parts came out, and it was like almost like a show, you know, like it was really weird for me, like the way the parts, like the riding was good, but it was really weird. And that's one thing I really appreciated about Dowdy is he filmed a badass wakeboard part behind the boat, all boat. It was just all heater tricks, and there was just nothing. Like his boat part was the best for sure for me, like watching that, and I was like, damn, he put it together there. Like that was a really good part. So yeah, and I just like appreciate his like push to learn new stuff and like push wakeboarding like farther and stuff. Like he's been through the ringer with injuries. I think he's had like 3 knee surgeries, and yeah, I think maybe he should ride a little bit more cable, but
We can work on that.
no, but Dowdy's rad though. Like I've spent a lot of time with him over the last few summers, and yeah, I was stoked to get him involved. And obviously he's got a way different style of riding than me, and that's why I wanted to get him involved. Like I think it's a great mix because I'm kind of like maybe some more like basic stuff and try to just focus on the way things look. And then also obviously Dowdy looks great on a wakeboard too, but he can do some like crazy hard stuff. So I just wanted to get him involved, and he's going to do some badass tricks behind the boat, and it's going to show people that the wake is no joke. So me doing like 360s, 540s, the odd flip and 720, you know, it can only go so far. People enjoy watching it, which is great, but I wanted to get somebody who's doing like some mob 5s, double
wake
flips.
to wake, double back roll.
Yeah,
stuff
the first trip he came out when we signed him on, I did a double back roll off the double up, and it's like, there we go. That's why we got Dowdy on the team.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about formats, or maybe a lot about formats. I don't know. I think there's a lot to unpack there.
Cool.
But how did the opportunity come about? You know, obviously, you know Taylor. You've known him for a while at this time.
Yeah.
But did he have an idea for a movie? And
Yeah, I think, well, that was at the time when he was parting ways with Alliance. He worked there for a year, and then I think his whole goal, I think, at that time of parting from Alliance so he could focus and make a full-length wakeboard video. He just a very, like, competitive person and driven person, so he's like, man, I, like, he grew up loving wakeboarding and watching all the videos, and he just was like, man, I can do this. Like, I can make a good video, like, just as good, if not better than anybody else. And so he got together, like, a squad of people. And he had a heater squad, you know, like Felix and Raph, and it was just the whole squad that was involved. And Gunther, myself, and Nick. Is that everybody? I think. You,
Nick, Felix, Gunther.
Yeah, Raph.
No Floridians in that. Just all.
Yeah, I guess
all
we're
people from the north.
Yeah, in
Germany. Yeah.
Yeah, Felix from Germany, and everybody else was it 3 Canadians? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a little biased because he's Canadian himself.
Because he's Canadian too, yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, he just wanted to make a wakeboard film, started buying some new camera gear, and that was shortly after I filmed that pushing part with him. Made sense. And it was the first time I was going to be in a film, like a full-length film. Like I'd obviously filmed like a lot of parts online and everything, but for me, like growing up watching like videos that were sold on DVDs, and like when I first started on VHS tapes, like those are the first few wakeboard videos that I watched were just on VHS. And for me to be like on a film that was sold to people was like really, really exciting for me, and definitely was gonna try and go as hard in the paint as I could to film a good part.
You did. I mean, yeah.
Thanks.
Gunther and I were talking about the movie. It's stacked lineup with a bunch of stacked clips and good music, so it's a must watch for anyone. But
yeah, Raph's part of his closer, that opening song, man, I get goosebumps thinking about it. Just like the song, and yeah, it's rad. Yeah, I've still got goosebumps thinking about like the feel, like Taylor's his vision with music and everything, and I don't know. I just have like very like-minded, like loved like the really like epic songs to it, like, you know, like for Raph's riding, but like with me like doing like some 80s track, you know, something that just like is playful, and like all the music he used was rad.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah.
That 50-50 on like the close in, close out rectangle.
Yeah.
Where was that?
That was in Hamburg, Germany.
Okay, I thought that was in Germany.
Yeah.
Did you get the slam first, or did you get the make first?
The slam was right before the make. The perfect scenario for me. I was so stoked. That spot was so cool. It was actually during the O'Neill not wake the line. Man, I'm blowing. I can't hit the road trip. So they rented this, like, it was a full on band tour bus, like a huge tour bus with 17 beds in the upstairs.
Jeez.
So we got to travel around on that thing for like 2-3 weeks. Went all through Germany. We were in Austria, Switzerland, and I think in France a little bit. But it was cool. Yeah, we just like traveled around this thing. It had like a little kitchenette and like hangout zone downstairs. And then you walk into the top, and then it's all these like little sectional beds, like double stacked on each other down the hallway. And but yeah, we stopped in Hamburg. Nico was hurt at the time, and he went on, like, we had these e-bikes, and he just went on a cruise the one night, just trying to go find a spots to hit. And he found that place, and he showed us pictures of it, and I was like, oh my god, it's
got my name all over it.
Nobody else really wanted to hit it, or maybe they did, and maybe I was just like tunnel vision, like wanting to hit it. So I guess they let me do it, and I knew that I wanted to try and go. Like off the start, I was like, oh, I could come in after that first pillar and like front board like the last half of it. And then I got there and I was like, man, I got a 50-50 this whole thing for sure. Like it's set up so perfect. We've got this bridge overhead that's looking directly down the ledge. So I put the winch like 3 feet off to the safety side.
Yeah.
So it would pull me off if anything. And it just worked out really good. It was a really cool spot because it was where the winch was set up was at a subway like loading zone, like for a transit loading zone. So we got there at sunrise and man, then we thought like, oh, we're going to beat the traffic, but everybody's going to work. So there's like hundreds of people there like instantaneously. And it was really cool. Like there was a big crowd and everybody was cool about it. And it definitely put some pressure on me. And then I hit it a few times and then I went in the hole, which obviously I didn't want to happen, but I had a game plan. I was like, lean back.
Get the board in front of me.
Yeah, board in front of me. I was like, I've seen snowboarders slamming the walls. They're fine. I'm just going to lean back and get the board in front of me. Luckily, it worked out perfectly. And then right after that hit, I got up and landed it because I knew that like some of the bystanders at that point were going to think I was on a suicide mission.
Yeah, right.
You know? So somebody's probably going to call the cops because they just saw me go in this hole and slam into this wall. And it was a really big bang. And like obviously I was completely fine. Yeah, so then I knew it was kind of the heat was on, and luckily I got the next try. I made it to the end. So
Yeah, I feel like some of the spots you see, where you're like, if they don't make the slam, you're like, oh, I wonder what would have happened if like they fell in the hole. So
I was
kind of validating.
Yeah, I was really happy. Like after the fact, didn't get hurt and everything. I wouldn't have it any other way. I was super happy. I went down in that hole.
Love it. Which concrete bank hurt more to slam on? So I guess we kind of talked about the one in the 2010 video.
Yeah.
But the one in formats is a laugh out loud funny fall too, where you go up over the the bridge or whatever that is, and then come down on that bank.
Dude, that spot was just not. I don't know why I kept on pushing that one to happen. I went there and got a couple clips just going over the bridge and then landing in the water down below, and that cement bank was just ruining me. Like I kept on looking. I was like, I need to go into that cement bank. Like it can work, but it was pretty flat, you know, it wasn't super pitched. So I knew there was a chance of what happened that was going to happen. Like I knew there was a chance, but I actually went to that spot 3 times. Went there and filmed those clips with Joe, which is Raf's filmer, who he's filmed a lot of parts with, and he got those clips of me hitting, just going over the bridge, or over that like handrail and like dropping down to the bottom section. And then I went there again and had some setup troubles. I'm like really in my head about the rope winching. So I'm always like, that's one of my main priorities is like making sure the rope isn't going to catch on things, because that can really ruin your day for sure. So I didn't like the way the rope was working the second time I went there. And so the third time I went there to film it with Cole Vanthoff, I got the operation set up. I was pretty confident the rope was going to work, and I tried it and it just did not work. Full commit. And I just pushed too hard off the jump, and like the physics just weren't there. Like I went too high and came down too hard. Like I was really freaking out about not making over the bridge, which was like, obviously I could have absorbed the jump and probably made it over the bridge, but pushed too hard, slammed down. And, it was crazy. I was really lucky. I've actually got the helmet. I can go grab it if we take a little breather here. I've got the helmet in the garage. I broke the helmet. I hit my head on the concrete so hard. I blew my helmet open, and and then the next day I beat Raf in a game of tennis just right down the street. So I was okay.
Yeah, do you want to take a breather? We can grab that. I got to go to the bathroom real quick, and then...
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
I'll bring the helmet over. Take 2.
What's that?
I said take 2.
Take 2. All right, let's take a look at this bad Jackson here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got some concrete marks on it. Nice crack on it.
Dang. So this is from that tomahawk?
Yeah, that's where that helmet was retired after that slam. It's not crazy, but it definitely probably saved my brain, though.
At least a little bit, for sure.
Definitely wasn't like in my earlier days, it was not like a huge helmet connoisseur, just from the aesthetic reason. But after signing with Sandbox, like when I signed with them, like I don't know, a long time ago now, but it just they wanted to wear the helmet full time, which I completely understand. And I was just like, nobody else is paying me to wear a helmet, so I'm definitely gonna wear these. And plus, they're a badass brand at the time, so how does that Sandbox relationship get started? It was through, I think Adam Levitt started that conversation. He was the editor for SBC Wakeboard magazine, and then he knew Kevin Sansalone, who's like an OG professional snowboarder that started Sandbox. He had like a film production company up in Canada. It's kind of a funny story how they started the business, but they got these like kayak helmets with the small bill on the front, and they started rocking those. And then just putting a Sandbox logo on it for the riders that were going to be in their films. Like they made full lengths every year, kind of like MacDog or something like that. And then it was just like all these kids, because they were like a Whistler crew, and all these kids were hitting them up trying to get these helmets. Like, and he's like, wow, I think there's something here. And then they started like buying a shitload of these helmets and slapping the Sandbox logo on it, their filming logo. And it just snowballed from there. And then eventually they like bought the rights to that shell, to that mold from like some kayak company. And then they just started producing them, and then it turned into like a really big business, and not like really big, but it turned into a successful business. And then they sold it like 3 or 4 years ago to another brand. I can't remember it's a snowboard manufacturer up in Canada. I can't remember what the name of it is right now, but I'm not involved with them anymore. Like things kind of just went away. Like the passion for the wakeboard side of it, I felt like was kind of lost after Sansalone. Like, it's not like he was a wakeboarder, but he really cared deeply about like about the presence in wakeboarding, and it blew up. Like it became like a really popular helmet brand in wakeboarding. But then I didn't feel the drive like after they sold, like with the other owners. Nothing against them, but it was just I just didn't really want to
changed hands and kind of
like it was good for the first couple of years and stuff, for the first year, and then after that COVID hit too, and that was just like a shitstorm of things. So then everybody was pulling back off the start when they probably should have done the complete opposite. But nobody knew that.
Nobody knew.
Yeah.
What was is it pretty good money then, signing with a helmet company?
I got royalties on this helmet when I was with them. It wasn't like anything crazy. Like I was getting like just a few grand a year is all I was getting from them. But they gave some budget towards projects like for travel and stuff too. And just like the royalties on the helmet as well. So I think I was making like, I don't know, probably like an extra grand or two on royalties, like with this helmet when they gave me like the pro model. It's actually the same graphic as my board from that year too. I just got like the same artist to do that. So that middle one that's up on the mantle there, that one, that year had 3 different characters, and each size was a different color. And the character that's on the helmet was a character of one of the smaller sizes of the board.
Sick.
But yeah, they're a cool brand. They were rad. Like Sansalone came down here and we'd shoot photos and hang out, drink beers and stuff. And they stayed at my place usually during Surf Expo. So yeah, they was just a good crew to work with, and it was fun being involved with Sandbox.
Sick. I guess we didn't talk about O'Neill either. You're not on with O'Neill anymore.
No, that one died with COVID as well.
Okay. How did that get started though?
I got involved with them. Well, Adam Burwell was on O'Neill. Like a long time ago when we were younger. He kind of got hooked up with them, and then Mark was actually on O'Neill at the same time, like kind of together. Like Adam got on as a wakeboarder, and then Mark got on as like just the multi-athlete, because he was really good at wakeboarding at the time, snowboarding and skateboarding. He's won Canadian nationals. Like the one year he won Canadian nationals for skateboarding, snowboarding, and wakeboarding. Yeah, he's no talent. But yeah, I got involved with them through Adam. At the time, I was like the same the distributor that sold O'Brien in Canada was also the distributor for Lost clothing. So that was actually a cool brand to be involved with. Lost. I got like it was a girl that I worked with at the time who was like in charge of sending athletes gear, and I just sent her my sizes, and she sent me like this huge box. And like the first time I got a box, it was like way more shit than I expected. It was the first clothing box I got, and I was just like on cloud 9. I was like, this is sick. All these free clothes. But then I got into O'Neill afterwards because Lost was like, I was getting to the point where I was like, these clothes are really rad, but I think I can like hopefully do more. Like, and Lost wasn't really big in the wakeboard game, but O'Neill was at the time. So I pushed to get on them, got on Flow. A few years later, I got on a salary. I think I was getting paid like, I don't know, like I can't remember if I got a little raise at one point in time. I think it was like $300 or $350 Canadian. So that's like $4.50 US. Just joking.
A couple loonies and a toonie there.
Yeah. No, but I was getting like a few $100s a month from them, and then I think at the end of it progressed like 400 or something like that, and that was really it with them. Like I got like clothing, I got some travel budget. Actually, so I had really good incentive with them. I was gonna say the last few years, I had really good incentive, so I was making like a few $1,000s per year for sure. And then like at the end, got into like incentives with Instagram. So like you just like screenshot how many views your video got, and then there's brackets. It was like 0 to 5,000 views, and then 5,000 to 15, blah blah blah, and so like just kept going out from there. So there's an opportunity to make like maybe I think a capped it was like $6,000 or $7,000 a year for incentive. Yeah, plus the salary. It's a good deal for a wakeboarder like me.
Yeah, definitely. I think Gunther's just the lonely O'Neill wakeboard soldier left in America. That I can think of. Maybe.
They just signed that Mary Morgan girl, I think.
Yeah, Mary Morgan.
Yeah, I think I saw her post something about O'Neill.
Okay.
So yeah, she's probably taking my spot.
Yeah, right.
No, I was never actually involved with the U.S. O'Neill guys. I did some photo shoots with them and everything. They invited me down here, but yeah, I was definitely a little bummed when I left O'Neill. It was like a phone call. It wasn't even a phone call. It was an email. It's just like, hey, Dylan, thanks for everything. I don't even know if they said that. It was just like the team manager, or it wasn't even the team manager got like cut at the same time as I did too. So they like made huge budget cuts. So it's like some girl I never talked to before sent me an email saying that they weren't going to be able to do anything next year. I was like, okay, thanks. And then that was it. That was like, that was year 9 with them. So I was like stoked. I was like, oh, I'm probably going to hit 10 years with them. You know, this will be sick. And then it was just like this email. And it was so funny. Like 3 months later, she like sends me this email and she's like, hey team, just wanted to reach out to you guys. We're just getting ready to do orders again. Whatever you guys like, just let me know what you're wanting and where it's getting shipped. And then I emailed back. I was like, you didn't mean to send this to me, did you?
Oh, you should have just sent her an address, bunch of shit you wanted.
And she's like, oh, Dylan, I'm sorry that email wasn't supposed to go to you. I was
Didn't
like,
remove you from the list. Sorry, bud.
Thanks. Yeah. Talk to you later.
It's a real kick in the gut. Oh, man. Let's talk about Real Wake. So it was 2017, right? Is when you did Real Wake?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, 17. That would have been the second year. Yeah, because I was riding that green board. Yeah, I think it was 17 or 18.
Okay, so how does that, do people reach out to you about, Bill or whatever, someone reaches out to you about getting involved?
Yeah, it was, so I definitely not push, but just let them know I was interested. Because I had a pretty good relationship with the guys at Alliance. They had played a huge role in my climbing the ladder of wakeboarding, publishing photos of me and everything. So I really respect those guys. But yeah, I sent them an email. I don't know if Cole was involved as a filmer at the time, but I was like, hey, yo, if there's an extra spot in there, which there probably isn't, I'm definitely down to film one. And so I put the bug in their ear, and I believe what happened is I think that Mossy was supposed to be in it that year, and unfortunately got hurt. So I was like one of the backups. And so I was like first up on the list after Mossy couldn't make it. And I was like out in the boat. Yeah, I was out in the boat, and I had like a missed call from Bill McCaffrey. I was like, why is he calling me? And I knew this was around the time they're going to be contacting athletes, so I was like definitely on the back of my mind. And so I was like, oh, I don't want to be in the boat when I take this phone call. I'll go back to the house and call them back. And then him and Corey, who's like one of the other main guys at Alliance, they were both on the call, and they like told me that I was they wanted me to film a part for X Games. And so I started crying. I was going crazy. No, I didn't. I was really excited though. Yeah, I was. Yeah, man, I grew up watching the X Games. Like, used to record that shit on VHS tapes and rewatch it all the time. And so it was really cool for me to be a part of the X Games. Definitely really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah.
So I was talking to Gunther about it too, but what's that like budget look like and like the time frame of kind of getting to film it?
I think they gave us like $6 or $7 grand to film the part.
I think that's what Gunther said.
Which is
7.
Yeah, it's like $7,000 to film the part, which is rad. It's like a great budget to travel and everything. And then at the time, like I sold my car and bought a truck at the time just so I could because I got to keep a little bit of the profit, I guess, like myself and Trevor Bashir who filmed the part. And so yeah, I bought this truck, and then Brenton Priestley at the time was hurt. He had like a crazy skydiving injury. Like he came in super hot on a foggy day with his parachute, and he came down too hot and like shattered his ankle. So he was laid up, and he was down to come with us on the trip to help drive the winch and everything. So the three of us got in this old Tundra that I bought, and we drove. The plan was to drive up to West Rock and go chill with Dan, because I think that was the first or second time I'd been to West Rock. And then he was saying that there's some winch spots up there, and so I was like, yeah, we'll go up there. We'll just do a big road trip, drive up there, and we'll find a bunch of shit. Like, for sure, we'll just do look at Google Maps and just try and stack all the winch clips on this one trip. And yeah, we found some really cool stuff, like West Rock. That one clip that's in the part of me hitting that like jump wall ride
clip, yeah, I think.
In that like ditch thing.
Yep.
That's like right in Rockford.
Yeah.
And that's what Dan was the one that told us to go there, and I went there, and it was just like kid in a candy shop. It was such a sick spot.
Yeah.
And there's like massive concrete ledge in the center. It was so perfect to set up like a little winch line. But yeah, we found some good spots on that trip, and yeah, it was cool.
And then that like the ollie to the brick or not brick, I guess concrete block. That was in Chicago, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think a couple wake skaters had hit that spot before they like ollied down it, and I can't remember if it was Trevor, because Trevor followed wake skating pretty closely. I did too, but he knew like he was a big fan of wake skating as well. So I think he was the one that said that spot was in Chicago. I think it was Trevor's idea to stop there. But it was kind of a like there was definitely some like homeless people in that area. It's like at a parking lot for a train station that goes into the city. So it's like on the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a
Rough
gnarly area.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was on the south side, but yeah, it was they call it like the cassette gap, I think, because it looks like a cassette tape, like the gears of a cassette tape.
Yeah.
But yeah, that spot, I went there. I was like, I knew wake skaters hit it, so I needed to like do something obviously way different than they did because my feet are attached to the board.
Got a little bit of an advantage there.
Yeah. So and I saw that spot, and like that wasn't my dream trick on it. Like I really wanted to cab 180 and then land like smash on the block and then do a backside 180, like do a cab 3 over it. But I got that clip pretty fast after doing like test runs. Seemed like the speed was right, and then I can't remember. We ended up leaving. I was like pretty stoked on that clip, and then we ended up leaving. I didn't want to like it because there's other spots that we wanted to check out that day, so got a clip and left.
Yeah, it's a good clip. Sick. Are there any slams in that part that you were filming? Because I feel like you don't include a ton of slams in real wake parts just because it's so short. You're trying to get as many clips as you can.
Luckily, I don't think that there was any really bad falls on winch stuff, like winch clips from that video. The most of them were that 1-footed half cab roll.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how many tries that took.
I think it was over 200.
Oh my god,
it was pretty insane. Yeah, that was the biggest battle I've ever had on a trick, learning how to do that. You got into like binding customization and all these like weird things trying to make it work. Like if you watch the clip, I've actually got don't really have a back binding on the board. Like I clipped the high back off of it just because I was like, it was really hard. Like the way that you do a half cab roll, obviously the board wants to go away from you. And I had to do something to kind of have my foot attached off the start so I could grab it. But yeah, dude, that thing, it took so many tries to land that. I'm sure everybody that helped was so over me doing terrible looking half cab rolls over and over again until it finally worked. But I wasn't even excited. You can tell by a look on my face. Like when I land that trick, I just go like this and like wipe the water out of my eyes. I was like, thank God this is over.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people have done 1-footers on a wakeboard. What was kind of the reaction? I know you started doing them, I think in pushing you had a few in there.
I heard like a wrap front 3 and then a couple grabs, like a cab 180 and like just maybe a tail grab or something. I can't remember what I did in that part.
Yeah, is that just kind of doing something to be different and like you saw it in snowboarding or like what's
just saw it from snowboarding obviously and just and like skateboard influence with doing like different grabs like that, like 1-footed. And I just wanted to try and bring some of that. I know there's some guys like Aaron Rathy and a few other guys were doing some cool 1-footed stuff at the time too. Like Rathy was doing 1-footed indie back rolls behind the boat at the time. And I
think he did that 540 1-footed, right?
Oh yeah.
For the X Games part.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. And then I know Felix had done like a couple, obviously he's got like huge.
He's done some crazy ones.
Yeah. Some serious snowboard influence and he's just an all around badass. And I didn't realize that like when I did that frontside 360 behind the boat, I was the first person to do it behind the boat, I believe, like a 1-footed spin other than a 180. But I didn't even realize that because I think Felix did it in that cable video. I think he did that front 3, the same trick as me. But at the time I thought that I was like the first person to ever do that trick. And then they're like, and somebody told me that like Felix had done it at the cable. I was like, damn it. I was like, I thought I got to that one first. But the half cab roll though, I think I got that one. I don't know if anybody's ever done the half cab.
I can't imagine anybody's done that.
I tried it once more when I was
I
with, like after trying it so many times and not getting hurt. And then I was like, I want to film this like with GoPro, like get close when Cole was out filming once. And I tried one and I felt like I almost exploded my knee and I haven't tried it since.
Yeah.
So I was like, that one's on film. I'm just going to leave it there.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
We'll let that one live in history.
Yeah. I'm not going to do that trick ever again.
You're pretty involved with Slingshot. Do you think they'll ever, make another full length film?
We've talked about it. Like Stefan and I are kind of excited about the idea, and I'm sure like the rest of the team is too. So it's definitely something we talk about, but there's no like plans in place yet. But we'll see though. I think it's a great idea. Lip Smack too.
Yeah, I think we got 10-year anniversary of Lip Smack coming up.
Yeah.
So maybe
when is that? When is that coming up? Is it the next couple of years? Do we have time to film it and release it on the 10?
I think it's 2023.
Okay.
Right, because maybe it was 2012 when it came out. It was 2012 or 2013, I believe.
Yeah, it would have been what?
Drop the Gun was 14, and that was like right after, right?
Yeah, it would have been. I'm trying to think because It was probably 2 or 3 years after I signed with Slingshot, I think,
Okay.
that we started filming for that. That was a really cool project to be involved in.
Yeah.
We got to travel to some pretty cool places. We spent a bunch of time in Germany for that video, and yeah, it was cool for sure.
Sick. So, kind of touching on video a little bit more, you talked about why you pursue video over, contests. Maybe dive in a little bit more about that, about, what is it about creating videos that gets you excited to wakeboard as opposed to, trying to win a contest?
I did well at contests when I was younger, like Canadian Nationals and stuff. Like I won that with 1 year. I just wanted to go back. It was after I'd kind of already made a bit of a name for myself in the States, but I went back to Canadian Nationals because I'd never won it before, and so I wanted to like have that like just for me or whatever. And so I ended up pulling it off and getting a win in Canadian Nationals, but I never really had like really good contest results in like pro level contests. I had a couple good results at like at FIS, like that event in Montpellier in France. Like the first year I went to that, I was riding cable nonstop. I was like so stoked on cable and just got on Slingshot. That was actually the first year I was on Slingshot. And I went there and I won the best trick contest. They had like an Aaron style thing where you did like a style trick and then like a hard trick or whatever. And I did like a toe back 7. I got those consistent like before they really got popular, where people like figured out how to spin toe side backside. There's only a few people that had kind of like really dialed it in. But luckily that trick was easy for me at the time. I just rode it at OWC and just kept on doing it a million times over and over again. And yeah, I won that best trick contest there. And I was like, man, I'm gonna win this contest. Like I need to win this contest. I just got on Slingshot, and I just kind of cooked it in the finals. And I think I got 4th. And I was super bummed. I think Henshaw ended up winning that year because he was on top of his game too, riding really well. It's like him and like Rossiter maybe was on the podium as well or something like that. I can't remember who else. But yeah, that was like my best contest result, like winning that thing. And then yeah, contests, I put so much pressure on myself to like do good in them. And it was partially just from my lack of success in contests that I really wanted to film. But either way, like I'm not gonna just say that like, oh, I hated contests from the day, like from the start, and I just wanted to film. Like I didn't want to do contests, just only wanted to film. Like for me, it was, I didn't do that good in contests, and I enjoyed doing them, but filming was kind of like where my heart was, and also the lack of success and
helped out a little bit
in contests. Yeah, was what pushed me, and like it just made me wanted to dive into it. And I really enjoy riding in front of the camera. Like something where I feel pretty comfortable doing now because I've been doing it for a while, and it's like I like that pressure of riding in front of the camera. So
yeah, that makes sense. I feel like some people are just one or the other, for whatever reason it may be. That's just kind of what they find.
Yeah,
enjoyable.
and some people are way more comfortable riding in contests. Yeah. Like they're just in that mindset, and then they like go to film in front of like a big film crew or something like that. Like at a Heyday shoot, sometimes like there's a lot of filmers in the boat. Like, and it's just something that I enjoy doing. I really like having. I don't know. I enjoy it for sure.
Different strokes for different folks, definitely.
Exactly.
What does the future hold for Dylan Miller?
Well, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, I think. Yeah, I really like to film another part. It's been a while since I released one.
I would like you to do that as well.
Thanks. I'll try and deliver on that. I filmed like the last part I filmed was with Wes, that Space Mod part a couple years ago. I didn't have any winch stuff in there at the time. I just wanted to ride like cable and just get cool clips, different clips at Valdosta, and then just get a bunch of boat stuff. And yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna winch anymore. We'll see. Like if I find the right spot, I want to do it. But I've done a lot of winching and had some close calls, and I'm pretty happy with the stuff I've done on the winch. But I think I'm not saying it's over though. I'll definitely
never say never.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I definitely want to film another part. Maybe I'll start working with Wes or somebody else to film another part. Like maybe I'll start this winter. We'll see. I guess now I'm saying it, so I probably
it's got to happen now. So it's in.
Yeah, I'm gonna
it's official.
Got to get creative. Getting old.
Sick. All right. I mean, I think we kind of covered a lot here. Is there anything else you wanna talk about? I mean, anyone you want to thank? Anything get off your mind?
Yeah, I guess just thank all the people that supported me in the past with wakeboarding. Obviously, my family, huge player in that. Just having anybody that's a professional wakeboarder, you gotta kind of have some good family in the background to help you out, because boats aren't cheap. And yeah, I really appreciate my mom and dad helping me out with the boat and believing that or letting me not go to college and just kind of pursuing it. They never pushed that on me at all, and just like believing, like me looking back on it, seeing like what I was doing, like just working on a rig and then going to Florida and spending all my money. Yeah, but if that was my kid, I'd be like, I don't know, this kid's,
I don't know about
I don't
that.
know what he's doing. It's kind of a crazy thing. He's made all this money, just spent it all on wakeboarding behind the boat. But thank God they kind of believed in me, or if they didn't believe in me, they kept their mouth shut for a little bit and just let it happen. So yeah, thanks to them, and then just all the people that supported me over the past, and obviously like Slingshot and Heyday are like the two main players that keep this boat rolling. So huge thanks to them, to everybody at those two brands, and hopefully a few more years left in the tank here.
Yeah, I mean, if we get another part, I'd say yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I probably should film another part.
Yeah, all right. So locked and loaded now. It's happening.
All right,
Part drop in 2024. I'm
The
giving
heat's
you 2
on.
years. You got
That's
time.
enough time. Okay, yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I appreciate you coming on, having me over to your house. Thanks everyone for watching, listening. Do that, like, comment, and subscribe shit. I got to remember to keep saying that. Rate 5 stars, all that stuff. So, yeah. Thanks. See everyone next time. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. All right. See you.